Yeah, I just figured out a big piece of our man problem. These boys are being raised by women who don't honor them. Our men are being raised by women who largely feel men ain't and in that passes down into how they raise their son. They raise their sons to be second-class citizens. They raise their sons to be overlooked and not listened to. They raise their sons to cower before them and just do what they say. Don't believe me? Look at the men in society. I don't care who was in the household. If there was a mother in the household, they were raised by their mama. I see way too many women who are mothers of sons who express views that are very non-inclusive of their sons' rights. And they don't see they're doing it because they're just speaking from their experience. But you have to understand, when you're speaking from your experiences and your defenses against men, you are transferring that into your son that you are raising. Some people are able to separate the two, but most aren't. I just watched a video where it was a pastor. The question was, if there's only one first class seat, are you giving it to your wife or are you taking it? And all the men and all the women except for one man and one woman said, I'm taking the seat. My wife doesn't mind sitting in coach. She could go to coach. And even the wife said, I don't mind sitting in coach. But every single person on that panel dishonored their choice for themselves. And every single person in the comment section was like, oh, no, the woman. Now, I felt that way too until I had some sons. Now that my ass done has some sons, we gonna have to reevaluate who's paying for every date. We gonna evaluate who's going the extra mile for who. We gonna reevaluate a lot of things because my son should not be bending over backwards, especially when your daughter ain't willing to bend over backwards for him. See, I'm raising what would be considered by me high-valued men, not just men that I'm raising to get money. Men to honor their women to the highest echelon of her capacity. Men to raise their children. You know, Caden walks around with a stroller and an imaginary baby, and I allow it. Why? Because he's excited about being a daddy. And if he's excited about being a daddy at 4 or 5 and however long, he gonna be excited about being a daddy when he actually has kids. Trey says they're too young to do the chores properly. I said, well, they gonna fuck them bitches up until they grow into the ability. But my sons are doing every single household chore. Why? Because when they become men, they are going to know that it is their responsibility to do every single household responsibility. And it's called home management. It's called home management from now on. These ain't chores. This ain't housewife stuff. This is home management. And anybody can manage a home. See, my sons are going to be top tier men. And in my sons being top tier men, they are going to be treated like top tier men. And your daughter does not get preferential treatment just because she has a vagina. She's going to be honored, of course, but so are my sons. And someone who raises their daughter to understand that humans deserve to be treated fairly, not genders deserve to be treated fairly, is who my children will seek. But y'all out here raising these sons, holding these biases towards men and act like those biases aren't going to filter down to your sons. You're playing yourself and you're playing your son. Men ain't shit. Oh, except for you, Bookie. Come here. You're the best man ever. Y'all can't hold these biases and think that you're not raising biased women and biased men. You can't hold these biases and expect that your son isn't going to rise to the lowest possible standard that you hold for men. I don't know how to truly get into this conversation because it's a revelation, but just know that if you feel a type of way about something and you're raising it, then what you feel is being transferred to that which you are raising. I was like F baby daddies all day until I got a husband who is an excellent father who had a terrible baby mama, and then I was like, oh yeah, bitches ain't shit too. I was the exact same way with raising my daughters. I was like, run that is pockets. And then I had sons, and I was like, yeah, you're not going to allow that to happen to you. So there was a double standard that I held until I was able to merge the two and teach my daughters and my sons, yo, you show up for him just as much as he shows up for you. Now he needs to show up first. You match his energy. For my sons, you show up first, and if she doesn't match your energy, you're out. But it truly is disheartening to see how many men haters are raising men. How many spirits that have been broken by men who are raising sons. And we know this to be true because every man that's out there willing to run over and run through a woman was raised by a woman.